Chapter 8, Tennessee, Chattanooga. Andy was dreaming he was on an old hand car, a velocipede, with three Chinamen, and one of them said, "The more things change, the more some things stay the same." He was looking at them as humble and noble men. Another one said, "We know of the new Holy Grail." Then the third one said, "Globalizing the world." They wore large Chinaman hats, and their clothes were all dirty, like they'd been working overtime. "We're erased from history, Andy." "How do you know my name?" "Everyone knows your name." Then they were in a very large crowd, and they said, "Come on, Andy. Clement and the Crockers want us for the last spike. Thomas Hill is creating a painting, and they want us in it." Andy was freaking out. He looked around and he noticed he was like back in time. He stepped back scared, and someone touched him on his shoulders and asked him if he was alright. And he woke up to Red, asking him if he was alright. Andy just stared at Red and said, "Wow, dreams are amazing. I'm glad you woke me up." "Red, thanks, Red." "I have weird dreams too, Andy," Red added. "Come on, let's get some grub. It may be traveling on this train." It's our first time traveling on a train. In the diner, they ate French toast and had coffee. Their few days and nights there were long, and he kept talking and laughing about Gus Wood in his poem "Run, Don't Walk" all night. Red asked Andy, "Why are we going to North Carolina after Knoxville instead of Nashville?" "Well, Red, he told me that we needed to get some Native American Cherokee in us before we take on this long work," said Andy. "What?" asked Red. "That's what they said," answered Andy. Then they noticed Charlie on the phone. They both looked at each other and said in stereo, "Rail Marshal." Red said, "Andy, we will be in Chattanooga in an hour." "Yeah, I know. I'll be ready," answered Andy. Then they heard Charlie say, "Okay, I'll call you back when we get to Durham County." Red asked Andy, "Isn't that where the famous killer owl was?" "I think so," replied Andy. Red asked Charlie, "Do you have any elephant stories?" Charlie said, "I have a few. Elephants are poets too. They have their own language." Andy asked Charlie, "And you hunted them?" "Not to kill them. I hunted them for college back in the day to study them," answered Charlie. "Oh, I see," replied Andy. "That is interesting. Poets, huh?" And Andy looked at Red. Red was silent, and he was thinking of the Indian he keeps dreaming about. The Indian had a hard and dark face, and his eyes did not have the sun in them, but the moon. He did not look weary. He looked like he had intentions, and they made his appearance bright in his mind. "Dancing circles around me," he thought. Then he thought of hunting elephants, as he wrote some documentation of the journey into his laptop. Then Charlie recited a poem about Tennessee. Tennessee. Now it's on the Tennessee for the poetry train. Where stories grand and glorious we're sure to obtain. Volunteers the people are and always will be, spread out through the Tennessee hills and as far as one can see. The poetry train sounds its great whistle as it passes through, stopping here and there before bidding new friends adieu. Marvelous poetic histories uncovered with pleasure and ease before the poetry train turns west in the soft summer breeze. Nashville. You must have expression for the future and do not fail the dreams and visions of our elders. Documentary work is okay, but do not lose the art. You must write things the world will passionately embrace. "Who are you?" asked Andy. The Chinaman said, "I am a love ghost. If I told you I knew you had an elephant in your brain, would that scare you?" Andy felt puzzled, and he just shrunk. His thoughts echoed, "How did you know? How did you know?" I am a ghost, Andy, and as Anestia swears that those who fight monsters too long eventually become monsters themselves. Andy, there is an elephant on the train. Andy jumped out of bed and said to himself, "What is going on?" Oh, what a dream. Andy pondered his dream and made a mental note to ask Red if he could read the documentations of the journey. He hasn't had the chance because he's been busy doing business in Illinois. He thought to himself, if I walk out of my room naked, then that is poetry. If I put my clothes on as usual, then it's not. Then he thought, embracing art, huh? Red was sitting in his seat when Andy finally made it down. Andy asked Red what he thought about Barbara Duncan, and then Andy said, "Oh, I love Bob Kitcher's attitude. He sure was a great help, and he sure did enlighten us on North Carolina's youth. His attitude was positive about it." Red was hesitant, but he answered, "She's interesting. I have to order her books. I wish I could have them now. I'm so interested." And then Red said, "You look tired." And he replied, "Yes, I had another dream." Red said, "I sleep hard and I'm tired. Maybe too much fun to sleep." Red, when you get done editing, doing what you need to do, can I take a look at what you have so far?" Andy asked. "Sure," replied Red, "but I don't have much." "Thanks, Red." Andy smiled and looked out the window. All three were thinking of Nashville. Andy thought about the Titans getting the Hasselback from Seattle. Red thought about his dreams, and he was tired. And Charlie, well, he was off in his own world, looking out the window also watching the sunrise. Tennessee continued. Red, we are volunteers. We are volunteering our life for the future of poetry and the youth. I have a question, Red. Where did you go to college? Me, I'm self-taught, asked Andy. Red answered, "First of all, I'm wondering why we never had this conversation before." Andy just laughed. "I'm self-taught myself, Andy. I would have loved to go to college, maybe the University of Tennessee. Vanderbilt is a great school, and Tennessee also has Austin Peay. I could never afford college or my folks, and I've gotten married young and had 2 kids. But I was told I had the gift, Andy, and the rich would have harnessed my talents and my poetic skills, but I didn't see it that way. I wanted my own voice, and now that I have one, yes, now I can go to college and buck up to the educated. I'm street smart, book smart, and spiritually smart. So that's why I volunteer for this work. Today, Andy, people can't afford college. Over the past 3 decades, the cost of college has over doubled. Student loan debt has now surpassed credit card debt for the first time ever. Where is the work for the people that finally did graduate? It's a complete mess," explained Red. Going back to ebooks that we have discussed, Red, college students can't even afford textbooks, so they're trying ebooks. They do their work over cell phones nowadays, but they still love the tangible books. I can highlight, and it's less strainful on the eyes, said Andy. Used books are the way to go, but authors get no royalties. The industry is failing everyone. Publishers want to go ebook all the way. Cheaper to publish, but there's no secondary market, said Red. They're going to have to improve, Red, said Andy. Unless they build from the ground up, it's just lipstick on an elephant, said Red while laughing, and then said, studying abroad is also good. You think you're funny, don't you? And then Andy asked, what, a globalized education? Yes, answered Red, and continued, it's fear versus understanding. Gosh, I would love to go to school in Egypt. My mother is blind, Red, and audiobooks, poetry, etc. is a way to go also. Poetry for the blind, doctor prescribed. Copyright law allows the Library of Congress to record the works that others can't get the rights for. That's another reason I took on this job, to help the poets get some kind of income. Poets can bring color and questions to the blind, causing more questions for the poets to explore answers for. Andy said and looked at Red seriously. We have a long way to go, Andy, but I will fight with and help you get this bill, said Red. Andy smiled and said, when we send off this documentary to the Library of Congress to be copyrighted there and logged, then the blind will be seeing the world through our eyes. Writers, poets, historians, and railroaders will have our book shelved, said Red. They both thought of a long day ahead of them. They had to document two cities, Clarksville and Memphis. Charlie was looking out the window, and it was stormy.